Hey, this is Joe from SoFly, and in this video, we are going to run a WooCommerce order export on a schedule and then use Zapier to have it email us the results after uploading that file to Google Drive. So the first step is to go over here to scheduling options. Now this is my WooCommerce order export. I've already set it up. If you check the description below, we have a video on how to set up a WooCommerce order export. So check that out if you're curious. All right, so the first step, we're going to go over here to scheduling options. And by default, the orders are set up to not be scheduled. Down here, we have some manual scheduling options. We have some documentation over here. These use cron jobs to set these up. So you don't need to use our actual automatic scheduling service. You can do everything we're doing here scheduling wise. You can do it with cron jobs manually here with the trigger URLs, processing URLs, etc. All right, so let's go over here to automatic scheduling, and we can choose to run this export every week on a day of the week or every month on the first day of the week. So the first Monday of the month, the first Friday, whatever, or every week. I want to run this report every morning. So I'm going to click all these here. So then every day it's going to run, and it's going to run at 8 o'clock local time. So then that way, right when I go for my coffee, I check my email and I get this nice report with all my WooCommerce orders in it. It's going to run at my local time here that I have in my browser, which is Bangkok time. And we'll go ahead and save that. All right, so that's done. So every Monday, this is going to run. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to get this export into Zapier. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a new tab, and I'm going to go to Zapier. And I've already logged in, and I'm using a trial up here. So you can try this all for free yourself without signing up for an account with a credit card. First thing I'm going to do over here is go to create a Zap. Now, the way Zapier works is you have triggers and events. So the trigger here, we're going to use WPL export as our trigger. And if you don't see it down here, you can just search for it. So I'm just going to click it. Now our trigger is going to be running a new export. So every time a new export is run on this site over here, it's going to tell Zapier. So new export file, that's going to be our trigger event. So it triggers when any export is completed. Use the file URL in your action step to copy the export file. A Zapier action step cannot process the contents inside your export file. So what we're going to get here is we're going to get the actual export file. We're not going to get the data inside the file. Important distinction. Okay, so we're going to continue. Now we need to connect Zapier to our website. Now, if you're running, now I'm running this using wplimport.com/try, our sandbox platform. If you're trying to run this locally, it's not going to work for testing purposes. So you have to try this with a live site somewhere. So you can go to wplimport.com/try if you want to give it a shot. All right, so I'm going to connect WPL Export Pro. So the API key is found on my WPL Export settings page. So I'm going to go back over here and go to WPL Export Settings. And it starts at the top. If you scroll down, we'll see here the Zapier integration, and we have our API key. We're just going to copy that, go back over here, and paste it. And now we need our website URL. It's going to be this guy right here. Go ahead and copy that as well. And paste that in there. All right, continue. That's done. Look at your Zapier, and it is connected to Aquamarine.finch. That's this guy over here. So it's connected. So now let's continue. And now what it's going to do is test the trigger. So it's going to test to see here if I have a recent export, and I do. If you don't already have an export here in WPL Export, where are we? We're over here. So I already have an export set up here. If you don't, it's going to throw an error because it's looking for the trigger. It's looking for the information related to that export. So we're testing it. Great. And I found an export, and that is the export that I have set up. Looks good. So we'll continue. Now what's going to be our action? So like I said, every time any export completes, this is going to run, but I only want this to run for this specific export. Right? Every time this export is run, I want to get my order email sent to me. I don't want, if I set up orders in the future or exports in the future, I don't want those going to Zapier, at least not for this specific Zap that I'm setting up. So this is order ID, or this is export ID 1. So I'm going to set up a filter here. So step 1 is my trigger, new export file created in WPL Export Pro. Now I have my action. I'm going to filter. So we're only going to continue if, now this is all of the information related to my export that I have in WPL Export. And I have the export ID is 1. Right? So I'm only going to continue if export ID exactly matches 1. All right. My Zap would have continued because the export ID is 1. Perfect. All right. Now we're getting to the meat here. So what do I want to do? When I run this export, I want to upload this file to Google Drive. Okay, so Google Drive and my event is going to be upload a file. So copies an existing file from another service to Google Drive. That's exactly what I want. Let's continue. I need to connect my Google Drive account. We're going to allow to give Zapier access. All right. So I've connected my Google Drive account. We're going to continue. All right. So the drive to use, if nothing is selected, then your personal Google Drive will be used. And there's my Google Drive. Perfect. The folder where to place the file defaults to the top level folder if blank. That's fine for me. The file. And we're going to use the export file URL right here. Perfect. Do we want to convert this to a document? If yes, we will tell Google to convert this into an editable document. Yes, I want to do that. And so this is a CSV. Now what's going to happen when I upload this is this is going to be imported and editable inside Google Sheets, which is going to be pretty sweet. We're going to leave the file name and the file extension. Just leave those and continue. All right, so let's test this. So I'm going to test and review. Sending the file to Google Drive, this one export that I've run, and it says it was complete. So let's check it out. And here it is. So here is my order export. No, thank you. And this is all of the orders that I had. So order 669 is Abdel from 2 Sycamore Hill. Let's go over here. Just verify that that's all correct. Find Abdel. Order 669, Abdel Wolfendel, January 11, 2017. Perfect. All right. Looks good to me. So let's continue here and get this email. So we'll go ahead and add another one here so we can retest and review, publish our Zap, close. I'm going to add because I want to email this. Now I have a few options for email. You can use Gmail over here, or what we can do is they actually have email set up in Zapier. And it's just going to email us, and we don't need to connect our Gmail or anything like that. So it's going to send an outbound email. We will continue. All right, we're going to send this to me with wplimport@sofly.com. Subject, weekly, actually, no, this is going to be a daily order report. So today we don't have all of our data in here from our export file, but we do know how many records were exported. Here there's 35. So I'm going to say today we had 35 orders because I'm going to set this up I'm going to set this order to run so that every time it runs, we don't get a cumulative total of all the orders. We're only going to get the new orders. We're only going to export orders once. And we have nothing to export up here because no new orders have been added. So all of those 35 orders that I've already done, they're not going to be in the next export when this runs again. So every time this runs every day, it's only going to get the new orders, right? So here you go. Today we had 35 orders. Next time we run it, it's going to say how many we have. Attachment. Let's go ahead and attach the file. So we have the actual raw CSV in our email attached. And then up here, let's add Google Drive link. Let's say here is a Google Drive to the orders we had in the past 24 hours. Now we're going to insert data from Google Drive. See all the data we have here. Let's see which one. They have a bunch of different data in here. Let's find the one that's most appropriate. This one looks good. All right. From, let's say WP all export. Reply to, reply at sofly.com. All right, that's everything I want. So let's test and review. All right, said it sent me an email. Let's see if it is telling the truth. All right, so we have an email from WPL Export. It is my daily order report. Here is my raw CSV attached. And then here is a link in Google Sheets. And there we go. No, thank you. So that looks pretty good. This email is pretty sweet. All right. So let's go back over here to Zapier. And we're going to publish this Zap and turn it on. All right. So this is a pretty lame name. We'll call this Daily Order Report. Done. All right. So now let's give it a test. So what I want to do is I want to go back over here to orders. And I just want to create 2 dummy orders. We'll just add a fee here. All right, let's create our order. Change the status here to complete. And let's add another. We'll give this guy a discount now. We'll just charge him 50. And we'll set that to complete and create. Okay, so now I have 2 new orders. Now what I can do is I can wait until 8 a.m. tomorrow for my scheduling options to get this to run, right? Because this is going to run, this export's going to run every day at 8 a.m. You know what? I don't really feel like waiting. So I'm just going to run the export, and that's going to actually be the exact same for Zapier as if we had. So we have only export orders once. It's going to export 2 orders, the 2 orders we just saved, right? There's some other options here. You know, maybe if we were exporting products, we might want to see the products that have been changed, et cetera, et cetera. Right here, create a new file each time this export is run. So in this case, I don't want to create like a new file every day. I just want to overwrite the old one, and that's fine for me. Do not generate an export file if there's no records to export. I think an empty file is okay, because that way when I go to Google Sheets and I open my daily report, it's just going to show me how many are going to be in there. And that's from the last 24 hours. If it's empty, it's empty. We don't need to split the large exports into multiple files, and we don't need client mode here, right? I'm just running this myself. Client mode is if we have clients who are going to come in and have to deal with some of the exports, so we don't want to give them full access to WPL export. In this case, not really relevant. Pretty cool feature though, if you do have clients that need to run these exports. All right, so I'm going to confirm and run the export here. and it's done. So now let's go into Zapier, and we should have some history here, and we can check to see what's happening. Okay, and there we go. So it already is completely successfully run. Let's check Google Drive. Go ahead and refresh this. Here is my new order export that has the dummy orders that I added. And if I go back over here to Gmail, I can see I have a new email from them. Here we go. Today we had 2 orders. Here's a Google Drive link in Google Sheets. Perfect. So if we go back over here to Zapier, there are tons of apps. There's actually over 1,000 apps here in Zapier that you can integrate with. So when you put your data into WPL Export Pro, when you run that export, and then you add it in here to Zapier for you to send things and process your data and do just all sorts of cool stuff. So I really highly recommend you check it out, and you'll probably come up with some really cool ideas with ways that you can handle your exports after you've run them, especially when you have them scheduled to run automatically. So that is all it takes to automate your exports with WPL Export and Zapier. Thanks for watching, and we will see you soon.